everyone, and welcome to andrezani.net video. Look, one question I get asked from time to time is from new Doctor Who fans who want to know more about where the series has come from, because sure, there are a lot of people who've picked up the series in 2005, you know, with Chris Eccleston, and they only want to know Chris Eccleston, David Tennant, and soon Matt Smith. They've perhaps remembered earlier episodes of the show, or maybe had an older sibling who used to watch it, and they remember the earlier episodes as having, you know, terrible acting. You know, you could find better at the local drama society, and awful sets that look like they're about to fall over, and they just don't want to know anything about it. But there are fans who have picked up the series from 2005 who do want to go back and learn where the show's come from, especially those who are interested in the mythology of the show. And when things like Gallifrey and Time Lords get mentioned in the current series, they want to go back and actually learn a little more about these concepts that the modern writers are building on, and which were laced all through the old series. So for that reason, I thought I'd do this video on some of the older reference books that are out there, and that are very easy to pick up on eBay especially, for very cheap prices, and which will give you a really great overview of the show and where it's been. You don't have to watch all the old episodes to get an appreciation of it. Reading some of these reference books is probably more than enough for some of you. Of course, some of you might want to go and watch all the old episodes and buy all the DVDs, and that's great too. But I think for most people, if you watch a few of the old episodes here and there and read these books, you'll be well across where the show's coming from and what all the concepts are about. So I've just pulled a selection of the older books off my shelf here, and I guess the one place to start might be with this one. And I know some Who fans out there probably be groaning, but in the 80s there was this guy called Peter Haining, and he made a series of books, often using the same information from book to book, it's got to be said, dealing with the show in a reference sort of way, a non-fiction sort of way, you know, talking about the actors, talking about the episodes, talking about what went into the making of the series. And this one's probably the granddaddy of them all. This is a celebration, 2 decades through time and space. It's a thick hardcover book, and growing up as a young man in the 80s, I used to borrow this book from the library all the time. Well, maybe not this book, but a book of the same title. And this became my Bible. I read it front to back and back to front, and every other way you could possibly read it. I ogled over the pictures for hours. I read up and down the episode guide in the back of it. This was just the most amazing book I could have ever read at that time. It's probably not the best reference book anymore, but it is a really good document of its time, and even today of the series. It records a lot of really good information, and I still recommend it. There are other Peter Haining books from the 80s. There's one, for example, it's called 25 Glorious Years. It came out, as you can imagine, 5 years after this book, and covered the show's 25th anniversary. So the key differences are, whereas this covers Doctors 1 through 5, the 25th anniversary 25 Glorious Years book covers Doctors 1 through 7, because Sylvester McCoy, the 7th Doctor, was in the role by the time the 25th season rolled around. So look out for this one. If you can find this for, you know, 10, 15, even 20 bucks on eBay, pick it up. It's well worth having on your shelf if you're interested in this kind of thing. Now, if you don't pick this up, or one of the other Haining books from the 80s, there's a series that you might enjoy. The first in the series is called Doctor Who the 60s. The second is called Doctor Who the 70s, and the third is Doctor Who the 80s. These are a little more highbrow than the Haining book. A lot of beautiful photography, some of it I had never seen before reading these books, and takes you through the making of the show, the actors, you know, the episodes, all that kind of cool stuff. Lots of information, lots of pictures, lots of cool stuff to look at. It's really nice. It's a really good series. If you can pick up all 3, that would be great. They came in both soft cover and hardcover. You might have to do as I do and have some editions in hardcover and some in soft. You can't always get them all in the same format, but it's, however you pick it up, it's well worth getting. Looking around. Oh look, here's, just while we're on Haining, here's a book Haining did a little later in his career, basically on the first 9 actors to play the Doctor. So if you want to know a little more about the actors behind each of the Doctors, from William Hartnell through to Paul McGann in the TV movie. This is an interesting Haney book to get as well. Hardcover, it's called The 9 Lives of Doctor Who, and you can get this really cheaply, I believe. Speaking of Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor, there's this book, Doctor Who Regeneration. Some of you might be across Doctors 1 through 7, but 8 remains a bit of a mystery, because after all he only made one television movie and disappeared into the ether, only to make audio adventures and appear in a range of BBC novels. So to get a bit more information on the character of the 8th Doctor and how the TV movie came to be and what the thinking was back in the mid-90s, this book called Regeneration by Philip Segal is awesome. It goes through a whole bunch of different scripts that were being considered at the time, and it's got to be said, some of these scripts, oh wow, some of these scripts and some of the artwork, like they're thinking of going to Gallifrey and they're thinking of involving Daleks in some of these scripts, and it was just remarkable, like the imagination and the storyline that could have happened in the TV movie. And unfortunately what did happen was nothing special. You know, I don't know anyone who likes the TV movie. I think most people like the 8th Doctor, they think he's great, but the actual TV movie he's in, people can't stand. And it could have been so different. When you read this book, you realise why. There were so many good ideas and scripts going around. I just don't understand how the TV movie turned out to be so bad. But that's by the by. This series is interesting. These were put out by Virgin Publishing. They're called Doctor Who The Handbook. And they basically put out for each Doctor 1 through 7 who were there at the time. And these are basically rundowns of episodes and what was happening behind the scenes on the show. If you know, shelf spaces are concerned, you don't want some of these big hardcovers, maybe you can buy some of these paperbacks. And of course, being paperbacks, they're just text. There's no, you know, pretty pictures or anything like that. But that also means you get a lot of information, you know, packed into these on each particular Doctor. Maybe if you're interested in one particular Doctor, like say the 5th Doctor, you just want to know more about his episodes, you can just pick up the 5th Doctor Handbook and you will find a wealth of information in there, both what happened on screen and what happened off screen. That's very cool. A bit of fun that I've got here. The TARDIS Inside Out. John Nathan Turner was the famous or infamous, possibly notorious producer at the end of the show's run in '89. He had worked on the show in different roles for the previous, you know, 20 odd years. So he did have contact with most of the actors who ever played the Doctor. And this book has a lot of beautiful artwork in it. Look at that picture of Tom Baker. And John Nathan Turner basically, you know, gives little anecdotes and stuff which are quite fun, and talks a bit about, you know, his role on the show and what he did. I mean, here's a piece on Tom Baker's resignation, you know, so if you want the insider's view on that, it's written here in this book. That's a bit of fun. I wouldn't buy this and hope to learn everything about Doctor Who by any means, but it's a nice bit of fluff. I mean, if you can find this for $5 or $10, pick one up. That's kind of fun. Which leaves me with one book that I brought. This isn't as old or vintage as the other books. This came out for the 40th anniversary of the show. So, what was that, 2003. So it's a little older now, but still not as old as these other books. Basically, it's Justin Richards going through the adventures of the first 8 Doctors. And he does it in a really nice way. It's almost, in some ways, the spiritual successor to the Peter Haining types of books. Goes through all the episodes, great pictures, awesome information. So there you go. I hope this was an interesting overview on the Doctor Who reference books that are out there, the older ones especially. And if you're a newer fan to the series and you want to know about what happened without actually watching all the old episodes, because that would probably take years and a lot of money actually to buy the DVDs, reading these books will bring you up to speed very quickly, give you a good appreciation for who the Doctor is, where he's come from, maybe even where he's going to, and I can't recommend some of these enough. So I hope that's been an interesting video, and I'll catch you next time on andrewzani.net.